There's a device that I've been using called a Whoop.
Hello and welcome back to IGOW4. It's time for weekly challenge number 16, the Gemfan Trippy ladder. This week's featured sponsor is of course Gemfan, and they make great propellers of all sizes. I've used their propellers on my tiny little 65mm whoops, all the way up to their 7-inch propellers on my Street League builds. If you've ever been to an FPV event, Gemfan Mike was probably there, and maybe he gave you some free props to try out. All the Gemfan props are super durable, and they all have specific uses, which is great. Alright, so now let's get into the challenge requirements for weekly challenge number 16. This is the last week of the regular season, and then there could be a week's number 17 if we still have more than 16 players. So, this week's challenge is pretty difficult, but it also looks pretty cool. So, let's get into it. First, the obstacle is the triple gate stack, aka the TGS. Again, that's just 3 IGOW approved gates stacked up on top of one another. We used it in week 9, and we've used it in some of the other multi-obstacle challenges. So, for this week, requirement number 1, you have an option to choose between requirement 1A and 1B, similar to what you had in week 11. So you only have to do one of these two options, and then you have to do requirement 2 and 3. So requirement number 1A is the Powerloop to inverted orbit on the TGS. So to perform this requirement number 1A, you must start with a Powerloop. You fly forward through the bottom gate, and then loop up, upside down and backwards through the top gate, and then again back through the bottom gate to complete your Powerloop. Then you do another half loop, where you're going to go upside down and go through the top gate again, but then instead of completing the loop, you're going to go into your inverted orbit. You can go either direction to start, then you have to do at least 2 inverted orbits of the entire TGS, and then do an inverted orbit switch, so switch directions like we did in week 7, and then do 2 inverted orbits the opposite direction. And you must keep the entire TGS at the top of your FPV view. Both poles must be at the top for your 2 inverted orbits. Alright. And when you do your switch, the poles can go to the side of the screen. They just can't go to the very bottom of the screen. Okay. And then requirement number 1B is very similar, except it's just a different entry into the double inverted orbits. So you're going to start with a Mattyflip. So you're going to do a Mattyflip, flying forward through the top gate and starting your Mattyflip, then come backwards through the bottom gate, then another bit of a Mattyflip where you go through the top gate and then start to come backwards but go off to the side of the TGS and then go into your inverted orbits. So you have to do again 2 inverted orbits one direction, and then do the inverted orbit switch and go back and do the other 2 inverted orbits in the opposite direction. Requirement number 2 is Callisto's Trippy ladder. So to complete this requirement, you must go into an inverted orbit and then climb up one side of the TGS like a ladder while in your inverted orbit, bottom, middle, top, then switch inverted orbit directions and go down the other side through the middle and then the bottom. You must keep the pole that you're inverted orbiting, either the one side while you're going up and then the opposite side while you're going down. That must stay at the top of your FPV view, and you cannot have that dip to the corner or the side at any time. Of course, no bumps or ground taps, and no splicing clips together. So again, it's bottom, middle, top, middle, bottom, and you do the switch after the top. A little bit different than when we're doing the Jacob's ladder. There's not a double top in this requirement. That's Callisto's Trippy ladder, requirement number 2 for week number 16 of IGOW4. Requirement number 3 is think about the playoffs. So if you're trying this challenge, there's a decent chance you might be making the IGOW4 playoffs. And in the playoffs, you're going to need to create your own challenges. So you need to be thinking about what strengths you have and how you can create a challenge around those strengths that you'll be able to complete, but other pilots may not be able to. Alright everyone, so we're coming down to the end of the IGOW4 regular season. And remember, there's going to be 16 total pilots that make the IGOW4 playoffs. So if we're not down to 16 or less pilots by the end of week number 16, this challenge, then we're going to have a extra challenge week number 17, which will cut off or decide what pilots make it in to the IGOW4 playoffs. So in some way we'll be down to 16 pilots after 16 or 17 weeks, and then it'll be on you guys to make up your own challenges. Anyway, good luck and and action. Alright everyone, so we're coming down to the end of the IGOW4 regular season, and remember, we have to be down to 16 total pilots to begin the playoffs. So if we end week number 16 with more than 16 pilots, we're going to have some type of challenge in week 17 that will decide which of the remaining pilots make it into the playoffs. All the pilots with IGO will battle for those last few spots. And if somehow we have less than 16 pilots, then we'll have some other type of challenge that everyone that's knocked out in the previous couple weeks, they can compete in some way to fill the last few spots. Anyway, in some way or another, we'll get down to 16 total pilots to begin the IGOW4 playoffs, where you, the IGOW remaining participants, will be making up the challenges. Good luck and happy whooping!
I'm not alright, yeah, I'm fine. If it is for not being able to sleep before every night, yeah, I'm fine. Finally feeling the pressure of keeping my feelings inside, yeah, I'm fine. Well, maybe I'm not, and I just need to tell someone I'm not alright.